order for a special meeting for August 10th, our city council. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Smith. Here. Karki. Becker.
Yes.
Howard.
Here.
Ilmanen. Lowy.
Here.
Mayor Kangas.
Here. Number 4, approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Smith, first motion. Is there a second?
Can I get a point of clarification, Mr. Mayor? Is there expectation that we're acting on these consent items tonight? Because they're not on here.
No.
It's just next week?
Yeah.
Thanks. It's all on the same pack. Okay, good.
There was saving,
Then,
saving afterwards.
Support for the motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Yes. Okay, number 5, public comment. 3 minutes apiece, so public comment. Feel free to step up to the podium, give your name and 3 minutes.
Kristen Beaumont, 307 West Clark Street. I realize this is a meeting for the city manager's complaints, but since I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, I do want to address something else during this public comment. First of all, 2 special meetings with 1 regular meeting this week while the community votes tomorrow feels icky. When people are so busy, this isn't the way to have the community be involved in the decisions being made about their own community. On top of that, the meeting tomorrow is about making Old Town into a campground. Why would you have this on voting day when the community is deciding on the 5 acres? Again, feels icky. And to top it off, I attended the coffee hour with the city manager on July 15th. He did mention a hypothetical campground off of 480 with no mention of the Old Town campground. Turns out it's not so hypothetical. And you guessed it, icky. So yes, this meeting is about the city manager's complaints. Well, I'll tell you that I think there's a lot of us that are now complaining about the city manager. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Michelle Heffron. I live in Negaunee. I won't say my address, that's been publicly put out there, so someone beat me to it. I just want to say that I'm grateful that this issue is finally being addressed. I feel like it's gone on entirely too long, and it is exhausting being constantly worried about my husband's safety and my safety and the safety now of my property because my address has been put out there for the public. Sorry. I don't feel that my friends are safe when they come to my home, and I worry about my neighbors, many of whom have small children. So I'm very thankful that today we are going to hopefully put this issue to bed, so that way we don't have to worry about this anymore, and I'm hoping for a fair and appropriate resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Yeah, Ken Oren, Forest Negaunee. As far as information, you can Google anything you want, as in any address and background wherever their previous employments were, so I don't think that's a big threat.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, actually, Lance Peterson. I actually live in Negaunee Township. I lived in Negaunee for many years. I'm more here for a character reference for Nate. I've known him since 2018, shortly after he became the manager here in town, and felt like he would be an approachable person to do things in the community, and I just like to shed a different light on this whole situation, that people are throwing him under the bus, saying he doesn't care about the community, doesn't care about things, but I beg to differ. He's been right in the trenches with us, doing anything from picking up garbage on the side of the highway, to having our fundraisers down at Northern, to bringing monies back to our communities and the West End. And the newest thing was the canoe and kayak launches that just got put on tour. And yeah, so I just think what him and his wife Michelle have been going through is not appropriate. Some of the things that have been said and done, whether it's open to the public where you can find people when you're pointing people out and throwing negativity out there, I don't agree with that. That's not appropriate. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'm Alan Nelson, lifelong member or lifelong resident of Negaunee. I've gotten to know our city manager through meetings at Midtown. If there's ever a man who appreciates this city, is our city manager. He's the only one I've ever seen in my 79 years, sorry. He's the only city manager I've ever seen outside of his office. There is no excuse, whether you like him or not, there is no excuse for the abusive language that I've seen, I've read, I've heard from people. As far as I'm concerned, this whole fiasco has nothing to do with what our city manager is doing, because he's done more for this city in the last couple of years than I've seen happen in my last 79. Thank you.
Pete Munson, I live on 825 Camelot Drive.
Please,
also-
with applause, please.
Okay.
You stand, okay, thank you.
I guess I don't get any wrong with applause.
You talk fast.
I'm here to show my support for City Manager Nate Efron and any employee that is feeling harassed in the workplace. In today's day and age, there is no room for such actions by adults, and I urge the City Council to take the appropriate action. It's hard to argue that the City of Negaunee isn't in a better place than it was 6 years ago when Mr. Efron took over as our City Manager. All one must do is view the new investment that is happening all around the city. Any new businesses, including myself, are putting their hard-earned funds into various ventures around town. This is private money that is being spent to make our town more enjoyable. Mr. Heffron's leadership and vision of Negaunee has brought us this progress. Even if you don't believe Mr. Heffron is going about things the correct way, there is no excuse to verbally harass someone to the point where they are concerned about their well-being. While it is important and while it is appropriate and correct to question the city manager about his vision for the town we all love, there is no excuse to take it to another level. Many people in our town remember the embarrassing council meetings from 30, 40 years ago when council members would grandstand and make public accusations just to hear themselves speak. It was an absolute circus and one that no citizen of Negaunee was proud. Please make the proper course of correction to avoid the city council from becoming another sideshow.
Thank you. Anyone else for close public comment?
Jill Howard, 207 West Clark Street. Well, I think that we can agree on a few things. This is a fiasco and it is an embarrassment. But not only do I think, I know, I really don't want to get into who said what in particular, names, dates, places. I think that bad behavior and non-adulting can be across the board. I think that if we were honest, able to be honest with ourselves, we would all realize what we have said, done about particular members, sought, looked for support in these opinions and bad behavior. I'm asking that all of us really do a hard thing and do some self-reflecting and do some honest truths about what is true about ourselves, what we've said and done, how we have added to it, created to it, made public comments about a person they don't like, that maybe everybody doesn't share your opinion or want to hear it. Even more importantly, y'all need to focus on yourselves truly and admit to what is being ostracized, stymied, just kept out of the loop, unwilling to be heard, to have an adult conversation. His mistakes are just a little more,
Jill, I'm sorry.
if his are a little more public, but if you're real honest with yourselves and paying attention, I would like to see this board sit on this, do some honest thinking, and get back to adulting, treating everyone with respect, whether you like them or not, working with them. Our community, our citizens not only need it, we want it, and we deserve it. I ask you all to hold yourselves accountable for what roles you played in it, added to, and pushed it all along. It's not one person. Let's start fresh and move forward.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to get up for a minute.
Okay.
My name's Jack Filizzetti. I live on Johnson Road, Nagani. I used to have a joke that would be, we could take the old town here and plow it under and move it all to the highway. And since Nate has come along, and he's been a good grant getter, and we've gotten money for this town, I'm impressed. I may not agree with everything Nate does, but nobody in this room is gonna agree with everything Nate does. So, I think he's done a great job, and I commend you for that. And like I say, they used to say plow the city under, not anymore. I'm impressed, and I'm proud of it. So, like I say, this other issue about Old Town, I used to live in Old Town. Our home that my daughter lives in came from Old Town. That issue will be settled tomorrow with the vote, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. The people will decide this, and that'll be it. So hopefully we can drop that subject when the vote is done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else need to stretch your legs? I'll take that as a no, so I'll close public comment. Okay, number 6, city manager complaint. So, Mr. Attorney, can you kind of give us some background?
So on the 18th of July, my office and the mayor's office received a complaint from the city manager. The complaint, it brought to the forefront some issues that Mr. Heffron and Mr. Howard have been having with communication primarily. And what occurred recently that led to the complaint was a posting on Facebook that the city manager posted about the hours in which we can shoot off fireworks in Nagani. and that's based on the state law. In response to that, Mr. Howard posted his belief about the time and efforts that fireworks can be shot off. Didn't agree with Mr. Heffron, and I think having talked to Mr. Howard, he didn't realize it was a state law that had been put up on the Facebook post, and posted a response to it that people should be free to shoot off fireworks whenever they want. But he went a little bit maybe too far and identified Heffron's address and suggested people shoot fireworks off Cherry Street. That's inappropriate. I think everybody recognizes that, but that's what led to the complaint. But the complaint was really, from my perspective, kind of the last thing. It built up to that with communication failures. And when that occurred, the city itself, the city charter, doesn't really identify a mechanism for managing a complaint from the city council, or excuse me, from the city manager. The contract between the city and the city manager doesn't really identify a mechanism for handling complaints. For instance, any of us in our job, if we have a complaint with our employer, we file it with the employer, it goes to the HR department, the supervisor, the owner, the boss, or whatever, and it gets dealt with in short order and resolved. Because of the way the city charter sets up the government in the city of Negaunee, we have a council/city manager government, meaning the council sets the policy for the community and the city manager executes that policy. And that's the way this government is set up, but there isn't anything in our city charters to say, what do we do with when this happens? And so this meeting tonight, to be sure, is my idea. It is brought forward for the city council to review this complaint, to ensure that all employees have an opportunity to have their voice heard and to not be, well, you're the city manager and you don't have any redress here because you just got to grin and bear it and tough it out because it's a tough job that you're in. That's not how we want to run things in the city of Negaunee. We want to err on the side of having the public know what's going on. We want to err on the side of having open and professional communications, both inside and outside of the meetings. And so I've talked to all of the city council members. You've all had a copy of the complaint. And what I'm suggesting that we do tonight is we dig into this a little bit. We talk a little bit about some of the background here to the extent Mr. Howard and Mr. Heffron are interested in doing that. I'm not suggesting that either one of them has to say anything tonight. You guys have the complaint. I am not speaking to any of the veracity of the allegations in this complaint. I wasn't there. I didn't participate in any of the communications, but our office has entertained these similar issues over the last year. And we've attempted to massage it, we've attempted to communicate between the parties, we've attempted to essentially serve as a mediator, but what we're finding is it's just not working terribly well. And so if the city wants to continue its great progress that I think everybody recognizes has been accomplished in the last several years, if the city wants to not be in the newspaper and on TV for things like complaints between government officials here, we need to figure out something that works for this council, for the city manager, for his family, and for the residents of the community so that we can put this matter to bed and get on with the city's business. And so what I'm suggesting is you guys evaluate the complaint, ask questions that you find are appropriate. I'm not suggesting that Mr. Heffron or Mr. Howard give us soliloquy or some sort of statement here, but it's certainly their opportunity. But we have to do this in a public forum, unfortunately, because you guys are part and parcel to making any decisions that involve the city manager's role here within the community. So I'm happy to answer additional questions. I'm happy to fill in more of the background or the details if you have some. But really the pleasure is with this council. And I guess, you know, the things that we could do are as creative or as limited as you guys want to be. You could listen to this, you could take it into consideration, you could do nothing. You could listen to the parties, you could review the complaint and say, yeah, this is inappropriate. We're gonna issue some sort of resolution that this doesn't happen again, some sort of censorship as to behavior that may or may not be appropriate for council members. We have bylaws that govern how the council members are supposed to communicate, how they're supposed to interact with each other and the public. We go through those bylaws at the beginning of every year, and I know we've done that in the past with all of the council members, so I would reiterate that everybody reread those bylaws, everybody reread your city charter, and everybody try to keep the best interests of the community in the forefront. We are all on the same team. I know we are. I've come to these meetings for years and years and years, and I've never tried to put myself in the middle of a conversation. But this is something that I care deeply about, it's something I want addressed, and it's something I think we can collectively work through as a community and come out better on the other side. But it takes everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction. If we're pulling on the ropes in different directions, we're not gonna get anywhere, and I think we all wanna see Negaunee continue to improve. So with all that said, I think the appropriate course of action, Mayor, is either to entertain a motion and have some discussion on it, suspend the rules so you can have a little bit more free-flowing conversation. I don't recommend the latter because, again, we have a lot of folks here. I think keeping decorum and rules in order makes some of the most sense. But it's the council's pleasure what to do with the complaint, how to address it, but I think it's important that we do address it from a city standpoint, because this is the type of thing that gets cities in trouble when they don't deal with it. Can I answer some specific questions, Mayor?
So what, you talk about actions that might possibly be, I mean, what we could possibly make, you know, is there like a, pardon my lack of, no real respect, non-lawyer ear, you know, but is there like an options, like say like 1, 2, 3 type of thing? Because it's, to me, it's kind of
I think
all together.
I think having this meeting and talking about it is action number one. I think if this council wants to vote on a resolution of censorship, that's probably somewhat appropriate in this instance. Maybe direct the communications, unless and until they get better, flow through my office, meaning communications between Mr. Howard and Mr. Heffron, or anybody for that matter who has difficulty communicating, flow through my office to ensure that there's a intermediary or a third party that kind of can help massage it. Now, we don't want to be doing that forever. We don't want to be communicating that way, but in an effort to address this immediately and resolve it, at least in the short term, something like that may be appropriate. Encouraging people to use professional decorum at a meeting and outside of a meeting. I think contacting the city manager at all hours of the day, and particularly at night, for things that are not emergency, probably needs to stop. I think the interactions that we have had in the past probably need to stop, and we need to keep communications somewhat limited so that we don't have this continual difficulty with moving the city's policies forward. The city charter doesn't really offer much more direction or advice on how to manage a conflict like this. The state constitution, however, does give this council the ability to refer a matter to the governor's office for review. If this city council feels that actions or omissions give rise to a significant level of malfeasance or other types of negative behavior, and I've cited those in the little memo I put together for you. If they feel that these actions rise to that level, then you can ask the governor to step in and review this. And again, the reason that law exists is to ensure that councils like the city of Negaunee are not tasked with policing each other. It gets a very difficult situation. We've seen a lot of political discord in the last several years, and we can see how, I think, if we use our imaginations just a little bit, how difficult that could become if we were to allow city council members to vote on and off other members. There really is no other mechanism other than a recall for removing somebody from a council if that were the council's pleasure. Again, I don't have the answers. I don't know what's right for the city of Negaunee, but I do think that this is a serious matter. It's serious enough that a complaint was brought to our attention, and it's incumbent upon us to deal with it.
Kind of hesitant to suspend the rules because if you make a motion, in seconds, you can still go back and forth and talk about the topic at hand. So, I don't know, council is.
I mean, for the purpose of debate, then I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution of censorship for Councilman Howard for his behavior.
A second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Becker.
Well, you know, this body, we are effectively Nate's HR department. We're the only people that he can appeal to, which I think is what the attorney was describing for us. But that's we collectively, all of us, this body, not any one individual person is Nate's boss. We act as a group, and the majority decides how things will go. I think that given that this clearly has been a continuing and escalating pattern of behavior, that we are following the right process and procedure. As you've indicated, Mr. Attorney, the city has tried to address these communications privately. I think we all know that the last time we were run through the bylaws, it was largely performative and directed towards the behavior of Councilman Howard. And that essentially is the kind of verbal step that you would normally get in any HR situation. I think this then constitutes the written, kind of step, right? Your boss tells you, hey, you can't do that, and then you do it again, and then they write you up. And then the next time is they refer it to our HR department, which is the governor in this instance. So I think that's the right progression. I regularly recognize and applaud Mr. Howard's fiscal responsibility for the city. It's shocking to me that he would expose the city to liability for his actions. The tune of the dollar amount yet to be determined, hopefully not ever. So that would be my motion, is that we, censure, which is CENSURE, a formal reprimand, not CENSOR. We're not saying you can't speak. We're just saying you can't continue to behave in the manner you are as a council person. I also think we should discuss sort of what the parameters of that looks like going forward. I think it would make sense for us to tell Councilman Howard that he should no longer have any direct contact, unsupervised contact with the city manager, and that it should be through the attorney's office for the time being. And that he should refrain from public communication, about the city manager's performance, because that review is a collective review done by this body.
Mr. Becker? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that Councilman Becker said that I would disagree with. This isn't about one occasion or one interaction that these two gentlemen have had. It's a recurring pattern, abusive behavior, abusive language. And not even to say that it's been limited to just Mr. Howard's time on council. This goes back several years. To the point where when Mr. Howard ran for council, I believe one of his responses to a voter questionnaire was, my goal is to oust the city manager. That alone can be viewed as harassment to a degree, I guess. I do have a question for the attorney. In looking at this letter we received, it says that this was referred to the state police for review. Is that correct?
That's all I know.
That's all we know?
Yep.
We don't know that it had
No.
ever been forwarded to the prosecutor's office?
I have information and belief, but not something I'm prepared to put out in the public because I don't know.
Okay.
And I've specifically not made an effort to inform myself because I don't want it to appear that the city of Negaunee is putting its thumb on one end of the scale or another.
Fair enough. Just trying to verify some of what we've got here, so.
And I would like to reiterate that these are allegations.
Great. That's all I have for now, Mr. Mayor.
I guess I just want to say that it's unfortunate that we have to be here having a meeting on this subject. It's embarrassing. But I think all of us here at this table have seen inappropriate behavior, and something has to be done. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I don't know what the parameters of that would look like. My hope is that it could be resolved peaceably. But the efforts so far to go that route have not worked, not borne fruit. And so, here we are.
Mr. Howard, would you like to?
Well, I don't know how much I want to say with possible criminal charges hanging over my head. I feel I've already been intimidated out of running for mayor. Because of this, I'm far from perfect, that's for sure. I've made the council, bring it to the council's attention many times that there's been problems with Mr. Heffron, and none of the other council members have attempted to help me to mitigate this. Every time I try to go to him with a problem, just recently, there was an issue at Lacombe Field. I went to Nate, I saw him, I happened to see him on Iron Street, I stopped to mention it. He turns it into this like international incident that I'm harassing him because somebody got tripped and got hurt on the sidewalk. All I was suggesting is maybe a little fill dirt before we put in seed. But he makes it out to be like an international incident. And he does this over and over and over again. So, how are you supposed to communicate with somebody who refuses to communicate back with you? I'm supposed to call him to make an appointment to see him, but every time I call, his office tells me he's never there. Many of you know that I've asked for help with this, and I have not received it from the council. And, it has been let to get out of hand. And I'm not proud of it. But I'm not the only one throwing gas on this fire. And I want it all to stop. I guess that's it.
Well, for myself, it's like Mr. Munson said, I remember, X amount of years ago at the prison, before you go into work, you have what they call pre-shift lineup. They tell you what your assignments are. So, and there was a time where the comedy relief was the Friday morning after the Thursday Negaunee City Council. And it was like, everyone pretty much joked about it because it was on TV, it was aired and all that. So I guess it was kind of embarrassing for the city. So as we moved forward, we seem to have kind of reeled that in, and I'm speaking everyone in general, okay? We reeled in the talking over one another, the respect for one another, that, notion, second notion, speak about things. We've developed that, and I'm very proud of that. But like what Ms. Howard said, it's, I just kind of add to it. We're all adults, right? We're not all gonna agree on everything. That's just plain damn naive. But in saying that, a highway has two directions. One goes this way, one goes this way. Now it comes down to, and I know this is probably a wrong analogy, but it's, how do people drive on a road? Driving respectfully, you kind of pass each other respectfully, not saying waving to each other type of thing, oh, how are we doing, stop, give each other hugs type of thing. I'm not saying that, but you pass each other in a respectful way. But if someone's coming towards you and kind of weaving on the road, whatever type of thing, it kind of gives me concern because I don't really know what that person's going to do. So does that mean we all have to be predictable and step for people and, okay, I know exactly what you're doing this and this and this? No, I'm not saying that. But it just comes down to, we're all adults, and I think we have the capability of getting along with one another. Disagreeing? Oh, hell yeah, you're gonna disagree. But if we could do so in a respectful manner and bring it to and go through the proper channels through which it can be presented, and, okay, this is my issue. Okay, fine. And then it goes through like the different layers of dealing with the issue. So if that means anything, what we were just talking about tonight, I don't know. But there is a way that, yes, this needs to be resolved, and we need to take care of it. We need to move forward because the city of Negaunee is going way too good of a damn good direction for us to screw it up because of whatever. So I guess that's pretty much all I got.
Mr. Mayor, can I have a moment more time?
Sure, go ahead.
I certainly agree, and everyone at this table needs to behave as an adult. I think we're all certainly capable of that. But the notion that, Mr. Howard isn't the only one throwing gas on the fire ignores the fact that you are the employer. We are the employer in this context. This is a legal complaint for harassment in the workplace, okay? If Mr. Rathbun was a woman and being sexually harassed, I don't think any of us would be questioning this. If Mr. Rathbun was a different race and being racially harassed, I don't think anyone would question this, all right? This is a very specific employment context, and it requires all of us to behave appropriately and rise above whatever perceived gas is being thrown on the fire, or it puts the city at substantial risk to be sued by Mr. Heffron.
Okay. Guess we covered that, so we did have a motion, did we? You guys made motions?
I did.
Yeah, okay. So, I guess, can we give the motion that you made there?
The motion to adopt the resolution of censorship.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That told me something. Okay, so I guess with that, we've discussed, we talked about it, so I guess, Brian, if we do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Howard,
Nay.
Chloe,
Yes.
Mayor Kangas.
Yes.
Passes 4-1.
Okay, we got number 7, the second public comment, 3 minutes please, so take part in it.
I'll try to get through this. Jason Wallner, 1104 Oak Street. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and constituents. I want to begin by saying thank you for all the hard work you continue to do, both elected officials and city staff, in serving our city and its residents. For the past 7 years, you guys made incredible strides in improving quality of life for our residents and supporting local business, embracing the slogan moving forward. Through healthy, productive discussions, engagement, and transparency, questions and concerns are addressed. Change has not been easy for some, and disagreements are bound to arise from time to time. I had the honor of being elected and proudly serving this council in this city for 6 years. First as a council member, then humbly as your mayor. During that time, we as a city and council worked collaboratively to overcome a number of issues, from global pandemic response, to building code issues, budgets, contract negotiations, so on and so forth. As mentioned, we didn't always agree, but we eventually came to a consensus through respectful discussion. In the best interest of the city and the sustainable future. I believe just looking around our community, it's readily apparent, and it's seen the investment of private businesses, families moving to our community, and recognized by county, state, and federal bodies and grants issued to our city. I commend our city manager and all the staff. It's a difficult job I don't envy, and I challenge any one of you to find someone as vested and passionate about our city. As a member of the manager search committee, along with Mayor Kangas, I can assuredly tell you I never saw any of your applications. I'm here this evening due to the unfortunate events, as we've already discussed, that have unfolded over the last couple of years and reached a critical point requiring this action. Serving in elected positions is a privilege regardless of the type of board or council you're on. Your role here is to represent the greater interests of the community, not your own. I wish to specifically address the behaviors which I personally witnessed in regards to your interactions with our city staff and elected officials. Behaviors began long before you assumed your role in this council. Immediately upon assuming the office of mayor, I began receiving innumerable
30
phone
seconds,
calls.
Mr. Wallman.
Point being, threats were made, they were brought to the attention of our law enforcement, they were brought to the attention of our attorney. I hope that after tonight's proceedings, that you take a long, hard look in the mirror and consider whether you can continue to discharge the duties
Please
of this
address
office.
me, Mr. Wallman.
Thank you.
Hi, Blake Becker, Ann Street, Negaunee. I'm just going to read from a post that I made on Facebook. I think everybody who knows me knows that I love Negaunee. Witnessing a new and improved Negaunee emerging after generations of decline is refreshing. Please be aware that it took a forward-thinking city council, a talented city manager, and a dedicated group of small family businesses, owners, and an engaged group of Negaunee residents to get back where I am today. To see the value in investing and building to restore our community. Please consider getting to know the current city council members who have voted yes to improve Negaunee. If you appreciate their efforts, please consider re-electing those who are running for office this November. Please also consider learning about all the candidates seeking open city council seats and understanding their positions and agenda items. Take my glasses off so I can see this better. You might be surprised to learn that not everyone currently elected or running for an open city council position appreciates all the efforts we are enjoying today. We've all worked diligently to make Negaunee a safe, healthy, and vibrant community, and the work being done today is attracting new investments, and we'll also work to provide value for future generations to come. And I think that's a very important thing to understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Paquette, Louisville on Cedar Street. And I just got a couple of quick things to say. First of all, as of Friday, I had no idea why this meeting was going to be held. I just saw that an agenda was put out, so I posted on Facebook. Anybody know what this is about? And since then, I've received a whole number of answers, both confidentially plus also, some people on Facebook. But so I think I know a little bit about what's going on, and actually after hearing tonight, I know a lot more about what's going on. But I did hear from a lot of people on some of the things and on Mr. Howard's behavior, serving on the city council and also before. Nate and I have been, I think we're a classic example of how you don't have to agree on everything to get along well and to get things done, because me and Nate have had our battles, but we're best friends, and I applaud him for everything that he's done here for this community. I'm in disbelief how wonderful Negaunee is right now due to the efforts of the city council and the city government. One thing though, I gotta say this, that you cannot tolerate is what I heard tonight and what I've been hearing, and I can speak real quickly here. Having been a senior leader for Cleveland Cliffs Iron Company, if what happened here happened at CCI, this guy would be fired on the spot, and it would be up to him to come back and come back with a lawyer to try to stop us from firing him. We would not tolerate harassment in the workplace, especially to the degree that I hear, and to threaten someone's home and to threaten their family and their safekeeping. Shame on you for doing something like that in our community.
About 30 seconds.
I'm done.
Anybody else?
I just want to say that I have, first of all, I do not think any harassment is appropriate. I'm not saying harassment is appropriate. The only thing I've seen is the Facebook post. That's the only I can speak on right now. And I'm also gonna I'm sorry, Christina Beaumont, 307 West Clark Street, I apologize. I just like to say that I started coming to the city meetings in January, and I will say that when I walked in, I was expecting not to like Matt Howard. And he was who I liked the most on the city council, because I felt like he spoke for people who need to be heard. And that's why I appreciated his voice. I'm not saying I don't appreciate what's been done to this downtown area of Negaunee, and I'm gonna say that because that's how it feels to me. And I appreciate it because I'm a business owner in Negaunee, and I love what you've done, Nate. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to discredit that, and I'm not trying to discredit if you feel however you feel. But I feel like to call that Facebook post harassment would then be saying that other people that receive harassment on Facebook, that is, I have seen something that's very aggressive, that I was afraid for my friend. I'm just gonna say that, I don't wanna say anything more. And when I saw that Facebook post, that's not something that I saw someone saying, just go light off some fireworks by his house. People light off fireworks by my house all the time, where I live in Ishpeming. And I ever since I've been coming to these meetings, I've appreciated that we have someone on the city council that actually says no. And I will say that I have attended coffee hours with you, Nate, and I have the city manager, I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect you. And I have heard, actually, you say things about him that I didn't think was appropriate in front of the community. Because you should be, as the city manager, your job is to manage the city, which means the community. And if you are then speaking poorly about someone else in public that's on the council, that's an elected official, that I think is actually, if we can look at this, everyone, and I want to actually agree with Ms. Howard, and I'm sorry I don't remember your first name, and I want to talk to you after this, I love you.
30
sorry.
seconds, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say that it takes two to do anything. It takes two. And I think, I agree, we all need to look inward. I have done so much, you guys. I admitted to my husband that I want to be a better wife to him because I was realizing that I was yelling for no reason and I wanted to heal myself, so I stopped doing that. And I'm admitting that in front of all of you. So that, because I want everyone to know we can be humble. We can let go of our pride. We don't have to make our city look good and proper. We can really work things out. Instead of what's happening right now, this feels like more of a division, which I asked you, how are you going to bring this community together? That's not it. This isn't it, Nate. This isn't it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dana Malone, 216 Tobin, and I'm just saying, thank you, John Becker, Councilman Becker, for stating that this harassment towards Nate, I feel like it has been handled lightly. And I think everyone knows how I feel about this, because I know you haven't seen everything, but I have been dealing with Matt Howard since I was the mayor, and before that, and his aggressive behavior towards the council has gotten worse. And so I think victim blaming isn't the way to go. I'm really shocked that you would do that. I'm 100% support of what the council decides here tonight.
Bill Howard, 207 West Clark Street. I think that we've gotten really comfortable with that if I feel, therefore it's true. That's not correct. I personally agree that there was nothing said that would warrant that, nothing that was said that could be or should be interpreted as somebody's in danger, they're in danger. I think that's not true. The words aren't there to fit the criteria. And that being said, if you're all going to be honest, you don't even have to publicly admit it. Many have contributed to this, carried it on, did nothing to stop it. We have an opportunity to do something really courageous and something really great. Recognize we're imperfect people. We say and do stupid things, some of us more than others. I'll testify. But we can't hate and get in trouble for people we don't like. It's so easy when you love somebody, you want to hang with them, you're best friends, you agree with everything, to be blind to the whole picture. And without the whole picture and the facts, the decision is not correct or right. I am begging you all to be the adults, take your job serious, be a professional, all of you, especially some of us. And I agree with all your feelings or but feelings aren't facts. And we all have to rise to a higher level and let's truly own our mistakes privately if we have to, and do better and be better. Because that would be the right thing and really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll close public comment. Okay, we're now at council comments. Mr. Chloe, let's start with you.
I don't have anything today.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Howard?
Oh, I'm gonna choose not to speak right now, Dave.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Smith?
I just have a question. Did I miss a notice on a meeting this week?
The references to the planning commission, just scheduled for tomorrow.
The planning commission, yes, thank you.
Is that it, Toby?
That's all, thank you.
Mr. Becker?
And for clarification on that, that planning commission special meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow, is at the applicant's request. It's not anything that's intentionally done to make it inconvenient for people. But I would encourage all of you to get out and vote tomorrow. It's gonna be a big day for the city of Negaunee, and we're down to just the one polling place. So, yeah, see you in the morning, hopefully. That's all I have.
And I'll second that, yeah, let's get out and vote tomorrow, you know, let's make time, you know, it's, what the heck is that, anyway?
Middle school.
Middle school, I knew that, I just assumed you all knew that yourselves, so. But yeah, get out and vote, it's an important issue that is people care about it. Okay, if you care about something, prove it, go out there and vote, right? Voice, let your voice be heard. Well, as for this evening, I'm not gonna lie, I came here kind of, my stomach was flip-flopping a little bit. It was. I only had one piece of Tino's pizza today. My wife made me a bunch, said, you only had one piece? I'm like, yeah, my stomach's flip-flopping. But I like my comments we got tonight, and it's hopefully, and I'm just not speaking just for one individual, okay? I'm not gonna do that. There's all of us as a council, you know, we've made a lot of progress going forward. Let's just continue with the progress going forward. The city appreciates, I think it's pretty clear with people's comments tonight, they like what's going on. So let's just maintain that forward momentum and let's serve the public as elected officials, for which is what we are, because you voted us in, you had trust in us to make good decisions for the city, and I appreciate it. I do my best. May not always be right, but it's always with the best interest of citizens in Negaunee at heart. So.
Are we allowed to clap?
That's it. Clap all around, Jim. Okay. I guess. Mr. Attorney?
Thank you for getting this meeting together, guys.
Yeah, okay. I guess, based on that, can I get a motion for adjournment? Mr. Smith? Second? Mr. Gold? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against?
Thanks for your time.
Meeting adjourned.